Berenstain Bears Don't Pollute Anymore by Stan and Jan Berenstain. Oh, looky here, said Papa Bear as he opened the evening news. Your friend Professor actually factually got his picture in the paper. Oh, said Brother and Sister Bear, coming to see. There's a big story too, said Papa, and a headline. My goodness, said Mama Bear. What's it about? Leading scientists claims Bear Country is in serious trouble, as he said, reading the headline. What sort of trouble? Asked Sister. Papa, who was reading the story to himself, didn't answer. What sort of trouble? Said Mama, repeating Sister's question. Oh, you know how professors are, he said. Factually is making a big fuss about pollution. Well, I know Professor Factual is, said Mama Bear. I think he's quite sensible. So do I, said Sister. Me too, agreed Butter. Oh, he's a great guy, all right, said Papa. He runs a great museum, but I happen to think he's gone a little overboard on his pollution thing. I'm as I've much continued. I do not think a couple of candy wrappers and drinking cups along the side of the road is the end of the world. Besides, Bear Country is in great shape. Come on, I'll show you. He opened the door and led the family out on the front doorstep. You see, Bear Country is not only in good shape, it's downright beautiful. The rolling hills, the forests, the lakes, and the streams. And just look at that sunset. It's beautiful, all right, agreed Brother. But our science book says that some sort of these colors caused by chemicals in the air shouldn't be there. Piffle, said Papa. Say, aren't you supposed to be doing homework? Sister, who had just about completed her homework, finished quickly, but Brother Bear was stuck. Teacher Bob had asked him to do a report on endangered species. The books had been taken out of the school library weren't that helpful. Of course, the kind of shape Bear Country wasn't as simple as Papa made it seem. How Bear Country looked depended on your point of view. If the family fronts, it looks fine from the Bear family's front doorstep. It had looked even better if you had a bird's-eye view of one flying high above the earth. But if you had a squirrel's eye view, you were finding fewer and fewer acorns because too many trees were being cut down. Bear Country didn't look so fine. If you had a duck's eye, you might think that a professor was right about pollution. And if you had a fish eye, you might think that things were being downright awful. The next day, Brother decided to visit the museum and ask Professor Factual to help with his endangered species report. Sister Bear went with him. Professor Factual was usual, cheerful and friendly, and bubbling all over with ideas and projects when the cubs visited. But this time he looked worried and glum. He cheered up a bit when he saw them. But when Brother told him the purpose of the visit, he got to help reporting it about endangered species. He said something very surprising. I'll tell you the endangered species to do your report on the U.S. We don't understand it, they said. It's very simple, explained the professor. We bears and all other creatures need certain things to survive. Clean air to breathe, pure water to drink, and all good soil to grow food in. If we don't do something about pollution, we're all going to become endangered species. Come on, he said. You'll understand soon enough. He led them out to where the Factual was parked. It was a special van with all kinds of scientific gear in it. The professor took Brother and Sister on a Bear Country tour so soon they wouldn't forget. They went past the Grizzly Gus's garage, where they saw soil leaking to a stream, getting on a duck, killing some fish, and they went past the old box factory. They saw an ugly black smoke pouring into the air. They scuba dived into Great Bear Lake when they saw everything in some soda can to rusty old bed springs. And worse, they saw a fish tangled in a plastic soda can holder. They cut it loose, but then they couldn't rescue all the fish that came from the plastic holders carelessly thrown away. They drove through the forest and saw a great many trees had been cut down, and that is not many trees have been planted to replace them. You might speak to your dad about this, said Professor. He and his fellow woods bear could help with the problem. I think I see what you mean about becoming an endangered species, said Brother when they got back to the museum. Yes, agreed Sister, but what are we going to do about it? Did the evening news story do that good? Not much, said the Professor. The idea that Bear Country in this serious trouble because of the pollution seems to be hard to get across. To grown-ups, maybe, said Sister. But we understand all of our club friends will too, because we're ones who have to live on a messed up, polluted earth where we all grow up. Professor, said Brother, how does this sound? You come to our school and explain about pollution to the cubs of Bear Country. Maybe we'll do something about it. Actual Factual was impressed. I'll give you Teacher Bob a call right away and arrange it. And that's what happened. The cubs were all eyes and ears. Actual Factual told them about the trouble Bear Country was getting into. First he taught them about important new words: ecology, convention, and recycle. The way the professor explained it, ecology means that creatures means not to wasting their valuable things on earth, like water, soil, wood, and metal. And recycle means finding new ways to get some of those valuable things over and under. The cubs learned quite from Actual Factual, and they had some ideas of their own too. How about a recycle program? Suggested one club. Maybe a newspaper to start, added another. Then if it works for cans and bottles too. Tim Honeypot said he would talk about his dad, Major Honeypot, about it. Teacher Bear remembered Grizzly Gus's garage. You shouldn't be allowed to spill oil in streams and kill fish. Babes Bruno, whose dad was the chief of the police, said, I'll talk to my dad. If there isn't a law against it, there ought to be. Even Too Tall helped with an idea. My uncle owns a super duper market. He could put up bag return plans for reusing bags. Excellent suggestion, said Professor. And if some folks want to cooperate, added Too Tall, me and the gang can lean them on a little. The bad returns is fine, Too Tall, said Teacher Bob, but no learning. Cousin Freddie had the best idea of it. Let's start a club to stop polluting and call the Earth Savers Club. We'll make posters and bumper stickers and have cleanups and marches and parades. But there will be still problems of Papa and his fellow woods bear. That evening, Brother and Sister told Mama about the Earth Savers Club and the plans for stopping pollution. Mama was very impressed. Papa was too. As I said before, I'm just asking him to be sure and his fellow woods bears to plant a new tree for everyone to cut down. He got a little grumpy. He added, that's enough. To cut down trees without having to plant them as well? Besides, what's the fuss about? They're just trees. My dear, said Mama, the cubs are right. The forest is a living thing and deserves respect. Papa was about to say piffle, then he thought better of it. The problem with conserving the forest must have been on his mind, because the night he had the dream about walking towards the forest to cut wood, and the trees began to wave their branches. When the branches turned into reaching, grasping arms, then the trees climbed out in the earth to get the roots and chased him. Help! Cried terrified Papa and himself. The trees, they're after me! He woke up in a cold sweat. Having a nightmare, said Mama? I must have been something I ate. Or something heard about perhaps, she said about trees. The cubs didn't expect to solve all Bear Country's pollution problems, but the Earth Savers Club made a very good start. The mayor declared a special holiday called Earth Savers Day, and the clubs had a big parade. Brother and Sister Bear marched in and had with Professor Actual Factual. There were many groups in the parade, too, including Papa Bear, who carried a sign in it that did not say puff